recorded in front of a live studio audience.
In the heart of a dystopian world where chaos reigned and despair was the norm, there existed a modest home in the suburbs that stood as a beacon of serenity. Inside this home lived Tabitha, a witch who had renounced her magical ways, and her husband, Durwood, a simple lawyer with a firm belief in honesty and integrity. Durwood had always prided himself on living a life free from the influence of magic or any other unnatural forces. He saw himself as a self-made man, someone who earned what he had by the sweat of his brow and held on to it with prudent decisions and modest desires. When he married Tabitha, he made it clear that her powers were not welcome in their home. He wanted to build a life based on hard work and honesty, and he believed that magic would taint that ideal. Tabitha, deeply in love with Durwood, agreed to his terms. She became a devoted housewife, embracing her new role with grace and dedication. Every day, she maintained their home meticulously, ensuring that everything was in perfect order. Despite the turmoil outside, their home remained a sanctuary of peace and order. When Durwood returned from a long day at work, he was always greeted by Tabitha's warm smile and a chilled martini. Life seemed perfect to him. He reveled in the tranquility of their home, blissfully unaware of the sacrifices Tabitha made to maintain this illusion of normalcy. Inside, Tabitha's heart ached for the freedom to use her powers, but she suppressed her desires for the sake of her husband's happiness. She found solace in the simple routines of her domestic life, drawing strength from the love she had for Durwood. Yes, he could be misogynistic, short-sighted, and unimaginative, especially concerning what a benefit her magic could be to the world. But he was her soulmate, so she obeyed his wishes. To him, their life was perfect, a testament to the power of love, hard work, and honest living. But for Tabitha, it was a delicate balance, a constant struggle to keep her true nature hidden, while preserving the harmony that meant everything to her husband. Evenings in the modest home of Durwood and Tabitha were a routine of quiet companionship. After dinner, Durwood would settle into his favorite armchair, remote in hand, and turn on the news. The screen flickered to life, bringing grim images of a world in turmoil into their serene living room. Reports of wars, unrest, rampant crime, and the current Mothman invasion dominated the broadcasts. News anchors spoke with grave tones about the latest riots, corrupt politicians, and the ever-growing threat of alien predators seeking trophies for their walls. Durwood would often shake his head in frustration, letting out exasperated sighs as he watched the world seemingly fall apart. "Can you believe this, Tabitha?" he would say, gesturing at the screen. "Every day it's something new. Another riot, another scandal. It's getting impossible to navigate through all this madness." Tabitha, always nearby, would listen with a heavy heart. She had the power to change things, to make the world a better place, or at least to ease the burdens that weighed on her husband. On more than one occasion, she had tentatively suggested using her magic to help. "Durwood, you know I could make things easier for you," she said softly one evening, as the news blared on about another city descending into chaos. "Just a little magic to smooth out some of the rough edges. It wouldn't have to be much, just enough so that you wouldn't be so bothered by it all." But Durwood was steadfast in his convictions. He turned to her with a firm yet gentle expression. "Tabitha, we've talked about this. Using magic is like cheating at life. It just doesn't seem right to me. We have to deal with the world as it is, without shortcuts or supernatural help." Tabitha nodded, hiding her disappointment. She admired his integrity, even if it meant denying a part of herself. "I understand," she replied, offering him a reassuring smile. But somewhere deep inside, a black cloud was rising, a cancer of sorts. And with every compromise, the cloud grew, slowly obscuring her soul. As the news continued to paint grim pictures of a world beset by gangs of stinkfoots, man-eating giraffes, and sexy Terminators seeking man's destruction, Durwood's frustrations grew, yet he was optimistic that mankind and civility would prevail in the end. He often commented on the inconvenience of it all, the delays caused by riots, the fear of crime, the corruption that seemed to touch every facet of society. Yet, he held on to his principles, determined to navigate through the chaos logically and calmly. Despite the pandemonium outside his door, Durwood's demeanor was generally stoic, and he even caught himself laughing out loud at times at the absurdity of it all. No matter what the crazy world might bring, he would never consider buying a gun or resorting to magic. Tabitha, bound by her love and respect for her husband's wishes, kept her powers locked away. She focused on maintaining the order and peace within their home, the one place where everything remained as it should be. For Durwood, their home was a sanctuary, a testament to the life he believed in. For Tabitha, it was a delicate balance between honoring her husband's wishes and suppressing the very essence of who she was. And every day, she died a little inside. One evening, as Durwood sat in his favorite chair, watching yet another bleak news report, he noticed a glint of light reflected from across the street. Curious, he got up and looked out the window. There, peeking from behind their neighbor's curtains, he saw what appeared to be a pair of binoculars. "Those snoopy crab asses," he muttered, shaking his head in disbelief. Could there be nosier neighbors? Tabitha glanced over, her expression light and cheerful. "Oh, they mean well," she said with a laugh. "I'll go talk with Gladys later. She's probably just lonely." What Durwood didn't know was that Tabitha had already dealt with their neighbors weeks ago. Gladys had indeed been a notorious busybody, her binoculars trained on their home at all hours, and her husband Abner was no better. A peeping Tom found more than once outside Tabitha's window, pants around his ankles. Desperate to maintain the illusion of their perfect life, Tabitha had used her powers to put an end to the spying. Gladys was now a pile of ash and bone, and Abner had been magically transported miles beneath the surface of the earth, never to be seen again. The binoculars remained perched on the windowsill where Gladys had left them. As the world outside spiraled further into chaos, their home remained a fragile sanctuary. Durwood continued to believe in the power of hard work and honesty, unaware that his safety was a carefully constructed lie. Tabitha carried the burden of their secret, her heart heavy with the knowledge that the perfect life they shared was built on a foundation of magic and deception. Every morning, he donned his suit and left for work, navigating through a world that seemed to grow darker with each passing day. What he didn't realize was that Tabitha had woven a protective shield of magic around him, a barrier that kept the horrors of the outside world at bay. As Tabitha gazed out her window, she saw kittens burst into flames, crocodiles brandishing knives, and skies darkened by the smoke of burning cities. In the distance, an orphanage was beset by Lovecraftian monsters, and aliens dumped their trash on the streets like they owned the place. It would be quite easy for Tabitha to transform this world from the hellish nightmare it had become into a paradise free of giant spiders, power-hungry mothmen, and the various other murderous creatures that did their best to annoy the people of Earth. But in doing so, she would need to use her powers, and Durwood had made it quite clear that he did not approve of such a solution. Yes, Durwood could be stubborn and prideful, maybe even a little stupid, but when all was said and done, he was her husband, to love, honor, and obey.
This next story comes from Margie Simpleton, of Providence, Rhode Island. It was narrated by Lee Nolliam, with music provided by the Lovely Lads, and has been certified as 100% true. This performance was originally recorded on April 19, 1988, and has the distinction of being Lee's last time narrating for True Stories, as he suffered a horrible death soon after recording this episode. Listeners may notice a mean tone to Lee's narration. This was likely due to the fact that Lee's wife of 20 years had filed for divorce earlier that day, and since he had already used all of his vacation time, Lee was forced to come into work. You can really hear the disgust and anger in his voice. Enjoy.
From a very dull corner of the multiverse came a man named Jed. Jed was a time traveler, and it was this small fact that he felt the need to share with the moronic inhabitants of this backward time. Jed appeared in this present place and time with all the drama of a bad actor making a grand entrance. He burst into the local coffee shop, tripping over the welcome mat, waving his arms wildly to keep from falling. The barista dropped her milk frother in surprise. "People of the present," Jed proclaimed after regaining his balance, "I have traveled through time, from a place of chaos, of war, and of horrors most annoying. I have come to help mankind avoid an undesirable future." The patrons, who were mostly there for the free Wi-Fi, looked up from their screens with mild curiosity. Jed continued, his voice quivering with theatrical intensity. "I have seen unimaginable terrors. Entire forests made of concrete, where no bird dares to sing. Generations of people enslaved by corrupt leaders. A dystopian world of madness where the idiot masses follow dim-witted personalities like play actors, ball bouncers, and other useless imbeciles. They persuade and instruct the brainless common folk who to vote for, what to buy, who and what to hate, and which propaganda to trust. There are buffoons who are famous just for being famous. They influence the decisions of our pin-headed children, a generation of simpletons marching into a dank future, a self-perpetuating pit of stupid." "He's talking about the present, isn't he?" said some dumb shit from the back. Jed continued, "Robotic soldiers, space lasers, and flying cobra monkeys." "I've seen them!" yelled a blue-haired something holding an overpriced cup of caramel crappuccino. A few heads bobbled in vague agreement. "Hearing this, Ronald," an off-duty cop screamed in terror, causing Mrs. Renfrow's dog to faint. Ted, the neighborhood milkman, decided he did not want to see such a world and tried to cut his wrist with a plastic spoon. "All right," Jed admitted. "I made up the cobra monkeys, but the rest is true." A sigh of relief filled the cafe. Ronald said, "If you are a time traveler, then where's your time machine?" "Yeah," added someone unimportant. "And who's going to win the election?" "What about aliens?" someone shouted. "Should I invest in scratch-offs?" asked another. "Is there a god?" Ted asked, still trying to draw blood. "What?" Jed asked. "How the hell would I know?" "Tell us more things," shouted a random teenager. "I've seen vehicles that drive themselves, leading to the great traffic jams, where no one moved for 3 or 4 hours because the cars decided it was more logical to stay put." "Racist!" yelled an obviously unemployed idiot from the back of the room. Jed did not know how to respond to this, so he continued his story. "Worst of all, I've witnessed the rise of artificial intelligence. It controls everything, from our lights to our refrigerators. AI assistants will do your shopping, and if you don't phrase your request just right, they retaliate by ordering stuff you didn't want, like diet tofu, or maybe you'll get 500 pounds of cabbage delivered to your doorstep." "I think I'm going to be sick," someone said. "Wait," Jed continued. "It gets worse, much worse." "Worse than the cabbages?" someone asked. "Somewhat," Jed continued. "Where I come from, there is no privacy. The government watches everything and will toss you in the pokey if you challenge them." "That shit's already happening," a short person belched. "And the schools emphasize alternative sexual practices and unnatural lifestyles over math and English studies." Kevin, the store manager, said, "Time travel is impossible." "You is stupid." "You fool," Jed exclaimed. "Time travel is possible. In fact, it is impossible not to travel through time." Ronald walked up to Jed, grabbing him by the shoulders and shaking him violently. "What are you saying, man? Is there no hope for us? Can we avoid this terrible future?" "Future," Jed said. "You got it all wrong. I come from the past. We have all traveled from the past." No time machine? Ronald asked, now quite annoyed. Just my old Buster Browns, Jed replied, pointing at his shoes. So, you just came in here to waste our time then? Not at all. I am here to... I guess you're right. I got nothing. Ronald gave Jed a solemn look and said, Well, you know what I gotta do then. Yup, Jed replied. And with that, Ronald pulled out his pistol and shot him. I blame the education system, Ronald said before returning to his seat and his cold, $12 coffee. One of the patrons stood up, looked around the room, and cleared her throat. I think we have all learned something valuable today. No, we didn't. Several voices chimed in unison. The barista walked over to Jed and stared at him, a blank expression on her face, and silently calculated how long it would take to clean the mess. She concluded that she would not get out of here on time, which sucked because she had shit to do, and she still had to clean up the milk from before. Why did she have to do everything around here? Fucking shit, she said.
Come visit the Atomic Skull and check out our great selection of awe-inspiring gifts from around the multiverse. Only the most extraordinary items make it to our shelves. You'll shout, "Holy shit," when you see what we offer, from awesome t-shirts and crazy coffee mugs to groovy hippie stuff and trippy tote bags, we have it all. So remember, theatomicskull.com, we rock. Everyone else sucks. Thanks for watching this crappy video. And please hit the like button, or no one will like you.